Hello everyone, my name is Sui Chiu. Thank you for tuning into our first podcast following the IFL AMA session on planning your retirement. If you haven't watched the Facebook Live session, you can go to IFL's Facebook page to look for the recording. Today, we will be talking to our panelist, Arnold Lim, about his retirement planning process. Arnold will be sharing with us his experience. But please note that nothing in this podcast should be construed as financial advice. Each individual circumstances, it's different. You are encouraged to talk to a licensed financial advisor if you have any doubts. Please do your own independent due diligence. Now let's welcome Arnold. Hi Arnold, how are you?
Hi, thanks, Xiu Chu. Thank you. I'm fine. Good.
Yeah,
Thanks
great.
for introducing me. Yeah.
So to get us warm up before we go into the questions for you, perhaps you want to share with us a little bit about your background. I understand that you had a successful career in banking. How did that evolve? Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that?
Thank you, Xiu Chu. Yes. I have spent more than 25 years career in the banking sector, basically doing the core business of banking, which is lending money. In that space, I'm very conscious about risk management and basically the world affairs, so that will help me to manage my lending exposure. Since I have retired from banking, things have taken a bit slower, which I have more time to attend to myself. And given the current stage of life where retirement is just around the corner, priorities have shifted, responsibility has changed. In the past, I'll spend a lot of time on family management, children are growing up, managing the mortgages, my parents' medical needs, attention. Since I retired from banking, and then now I spend more time on children, university education. Now that my parents has passed on, so now I have to plan for my me and my wife old age needs. Yeah, so that is how my professional life or in general life has evolved. Yeah.
Thank you, Arnold. Thank you for being candid with us. Perhaps you could share with us what would your ideal retirement look like when you were in your 30s?
Okay, at the time, which is like 20, 30 years ago, when you first started to work or only after working for a few years, you have something that you want to fulfill in life, right? Suddenly you want to perhaps own your first car, you want to buy your first home, and then of course you want to set up a family. So at that time, you will be more interested to accumulate all these assets. And then at that time, from the perspective of 20 to 30 years later, which is now, I will always thought that since accumulation of assets and building up all those wants and needs will incur a fair bit of debt, especially when you buy your home and car, then your first thing in retirement is, let me clear my liabilities as soon as possible. Let me save as much money as possible. And then hopefully one day, I don't have to do anything because I need money. I can do anything I want to do without the concern about money. So that was the ideal retirement outlook at that time when I was in my 20s and 30s. Yeah.
So are you retired now? How do you spend your days? There's a concept of financial independence that young people like to talk about.
You see, the common perception of retirement is you don't have to do anything else. Basically, you leave work and then you can do anything you want. But actually, retirement is just simply talking about doing something you like, you wanted, without the concern of money. So in other words, proper financial planning from the time you start to work till now matters a lot. And I'm glad that my direction has not changed. I have planned for retirement. So now, because I'm not concerned about money, I actually can think of what to do that I wanted to do all along. Something that is more enriching and is not money driven. So that is my idea of retirement.
Great. Sounds like you are very successful. Now, tell us how you had planned for this retirement. I mean, that was 25, maybe 30 years ago when you first started. What were your lessons learned? Can you share with us?
Sure. I was talking about what is my perception of retirement now. So what happened is I decided to choose a second career. Now, when I left banking a few years ago, I was planning a second career for 50 to 70 years old, which is a good time span of about 20 years. I have about 25 years experience in banking, pretty successful, I think, in my own context and in terms of my definition. I would like to have another successful one in another area, and I chose IT. So IT is an area that's fascinating and something that is dynamic, and it really drives me. The only thing is, if you want to start from scratch, means start from ground zero, you got to learn everything without the knowledge of IT. Basically, I'm a finance guy, so I need to start from somewhere, and that somewhere will not give you the same kind of financial return. Essentially, it's very, very low. Now, how to make it possible is because I have done the financial planning, and since money is not a concern, I can do it. And I'm glad that after a few years, I'm pretty on track to move on in my IT career. In fact, I'm moving on to my next job next month. So that is the success of this planning. And what have I been doing? Basically, the concept of financial planning is savings. Then you protect what you save, and then when you are able to, then you do investment. So exactly this is what I have been doing. Now, in the space of planning for savings, you must always think about your expenses, whether it's your fixed expenses and variable expenses, and you have to manage this well. I always driven by this saving concept where if you were to earn one day your salary, you save half of it, you work one day, you leave for 2 days. And I'm able to stretch my savings to as much as 75% sometimes. And that means what? I work one day, I leave for 4 days. So that is a concept that I pursue, and it works very well for me. And then next comes to insurance. Insurance comes in only when you are when you need most is your life insurance, for example, is one of them. You should cover only insurance. That means you should buy something that you need in terms of in the event of untimely death, not related to investment link or savings or any other combination. Insurance should be insurance by itself. That will give you the best protection at the lowest cost. And only when you're comfortable with that, then you can go into investment. And of course, that depends on all your conditions. First, you must have the ability to take those risks, and you must be able to tolerate those risks. So that is how I plan for my retirement. And currently, this planning has reached a fruition where I'm enjoying the results right now. Now, what are the lessons learned? I remember, I think you just asked me as well, is in the process, do not deviate out of your plan. All right. At times when I was younger, I wanted to do things faster. When there was rumors on certain things in the stock market, I tend to also join in the herd instinct, but it was wrong. It was proven wrong along the way. So stick fast to your plan, and then you will see the fruits as it comes along when you reach retirement. Thank you.
What would you say to someone who is in their 40s and hasn't started planning at all? Is it too late?
For the person in their 40s, actually, they still have a long way to go before the retirement age. Again, retirement age differs from one to another and depend on when you want to change your next activity. But in the definition of Singapore, where retirement now is in the range between 65 to 70, depending on how the government is going to fix the definition, you still have a long way to go. 40 to 65 is a good 25 years, and that's a quarter of a century. That's really long. Now, but again, at 40, you have a lot of responsibilities, right? Your children are growing up. That's the time where your parents' health also may be deteriorating, and then that is the time where you may be upgrading your home and get a bigger mortgage. So you have a lot of responsibilities. So depending on your current status, but assuming you have not started any planning, I would strongly recommend this people to change the lifestyle. That means at the end of the day, it's a matter of what your expenses going to take away your earning. So save as much as you can. Change your lifestyle will mean a lot of things. And in my own definition, if I'm the one that at 40 years old and I have not started planning, I will probably do this. I'll probably stop car ownership because car ownership in Singapore is really expensive, right? And if I'm smoking, I will definitely stop smoking. Why? Because the packet of cigarettes is really expensive. And on top of that, you get addicted, you will smoke more and more. You'll spend more and more. What's after that? When you retire, when your health are not there anymore, your medical expenses will be higher. And because you are a smoker, even you buy insurance, you also are paying higher premium. And other things could be restaurants. Yeah, for example, try to eat more at home. I think that would be a good advice. Healthier. Going to restaurants are really expensive as well. Of course, on special occasion, you should celebrate, but you should not be a day-to-day affair. And that is another way to cut your expenses, and that cuts off a part of chain of lifestyle. So why you do all that? So that you can actually save more. All right, you save more because you have more responsibility now, right? Your children, you're growing up, education, your parents also need you, your own medical plan need to keep in place also because you will grow old one day as well. And the next thing you should do is review or plan your insurance, particularly medical insurance. Make sure that it's adequate for your family and your parents. Only if you have done all that, then you can consider, if you really have done all this well, if you do have surplus, then you can consider investment. But from my perspective, if you have not done any planning, investment is not your priority. The last thing you want is get involved into risky investment. Things that you have not done before, you're not familiar, and then suddenly because your friends told you that this is a fantastic plan, low risk, high return, which doesn't make sense, you jump into it, and that will be a very painful mistake. So that will be my general advice to such a category of people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arnold, for sharing. You have been listening to a podcast on planning your retirement, brought to you by IFL, Institute for Financial Literacy, a collaboration between Money Sense and Singapore Polytechnic. IFL provides free and unbiased financial education to members of the public. You can follow or like us on our social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, or visit our website at ifl.org.sg. Stay tuned for our next podcast, which will talk a little bit more about insurances in your retirement. In the meantime, I wish you all a good day, stay safe and healthy. Bye.